Hello. Kesenya here with the Moon Tarot Talk for the full moon Capricorn on June 24th, straight after the solstice on the 21st, when I'm actually recording the video. So happy solstice as well. So for those of you who are watching my videos on regular basis, hi, welcome back. Good to see you back. For those of you who are watching for the first time, my name is Kesenya. Yes, I'm a namesake of the Kesenya Moore, who is the owner of the channel, and I'm the local tarot reader at her website. So if you'd like to book a reading with me, go to the description box. We'll link all the information you'll need down below. And yeah, today it is the Capricorn thing. And I'm a Capricorn, so I'm always very excited when there are transits in Capricorn. So yes, the full moon is happening on the 24th of June, right after the sun moves to Cancer, right after the solstice, the summer solstice. And is happening at 3 degrees Capricorn. So the moon is at 3 degrees Capricorn and the sun is at 3 degrees Cancer. So sun only starts its way rolling across the Cancer zodiac part, and Capricorn is hosting the moon. What I want to talk about very briefly today before we start the reading is about this axis which is shaped by this full moon. Like, you know, when we think of Cancer is our collective 4th house, Capricorn is our collective 10th house. So how astrology sees it, yeah, this dichotomy, this opposition between Capricorn and Cancer, it's ultimately as the conversation between home and work, you know, which is of course a very important conversation, especially I suppose now in these years of work from home movement, when everybody were pushed back home, and so home and work somehow merged together, like, you know, and so now our home is also our workplace very often. But I'm here to offer, like, you know, some insights which tarot have to offer us, because as you all know, if you've been watching my videos, tarot cards are historically associated with astrological transits. It's not something inherent to the tarot system, by the way. This was the system which was invented by the Golden Dawn movement. So, as you know, the very famous tarot deck, Rider-Waite Tarot, the most classical one, the one that most of people start with, most of people own. It was created by the members of the Golden Dawn Society. They were esoteric occult society at the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century, and they created the system of astrological correspondences, and hence the cards of tarot, they have planetary and zodiacal correspondences, technically, especially when we're talking about the 22 cards of the major arcana. And the cards which we have for Cancer and for Capricorn, Cancer is the chariot and Capricorn is the devil. And if you remember a little bit the video we were doing about Capricorn half a year ago, when it was the new moon Capricorn in December, I really did my best to kind of challenge the very common and popular perception of Capricorn as a sort of like all work, no fun, like, you know, sign, very rational, very like, you know, ambitious, very cold in a way, and kind of a thing in its head, like only driven by the mundane things, by the achievements and so on. But in all fairness, you know, it is half goat and half fish, yeah. And the constellation of Capricornus is found at the part of the sky which is called the sea. And that's why it's together with Aquarius, it's together with Pisces. So technically, although the elements which we assign to those signs, so like Aquarius is air and Capricorn is earth, nonetheless they're kind of all related to water, archetypically speaking. And when we speak of water, especially in tarot, the suit of water, it's cups, and cups are related to feelings, to mystical insights, to subconscious, basically. Yeah, it's kind of the deep waters of the subconscious. That's what it is. So Capricorn is good at both. Like, you know, Capricorn is good both at, like, you know, mystic, deep digging in. That's why the fish tail at the same time is good at climbing mountains, exactly, and caring about the stages and being very resilient and being very stubborn and very like goal oriented, goal driven, you know. It always fascinates me when I'm watching like videos about like, you know, those mountain goats, the ibex, how they balance on this tiny piece of rock somewhere up in the sky. They're not afraid of falling. I think it's a good example for all of us to remember this, to remember that we can, basically we can do it if we want. And the transits in Capricorn are always here to remind us of this, that we can, even if this mountain seems too high, if it seems absolutely impossible to climb, we can. We have this ability in us to do it. Like, you know, if we stop thinking that we cannot, that we are afraid, that we are not meant to do so, that, like, you know, we will fall down and crush. If you stop this negative swirl of thoughts and you just give yourself the freedom to be this Capricorn. And it's not only for people who are Capricorn sun or rising or moon, it's also, you will all have Capricorn in your chart. Capricorn rules the certain house in your chart depending on what's your rising sign is. And so technically speaking, we are all Capricorns in a way, same as we are all other signs. And so yeah, when we look at the most classical astrological denominations, yes, we are talking about work and home. We're talking about the balanced relationship with your family and with your co-workers, and balancing this work-life areas in your life. But I also find that tarot offers us much more intriguing perspective, because when you look at those two cards, don't be alarmed that Capricorn is the devil. It's fine. It's because the Capricorn is associated with Bacchus, who was the god of forest, he was the god of wine, he was a god of mystical orgies and mystical celebrations, devoted to the god Dionysius. Yeah, Dionysius, he was this god of ecstasy, the god of drinking, the god of theater, the god of expression, the god of wine, and many other things. And Bacchus, he was this half human, half goat in the retinue of Dionysius. So he was associated with the cult of kind of ecstatic drinking, but drinking not for the sake of, like, you know, getting drunk and knocked out and absolutely unconscious, but this idea of drunkenness as a sort of mystical experience, you know, the one that makes your mind transcend the boundaries of this world and kind of opens the doors in your head. Yeah, by any means, I need to say this is not an ad of any illegal substances consummation. So that's consumption. That's not what I meant. We are talking purely archetypes here. And the chariot, by default, like, you know, when we look at it, the chariot is all about control. The chariot, again, I wanted to stress, it's the card which signifies Cancer in tarot. The chariot is all about control. Even when we imagine the chariot, the whole process of riding a chariot, it is to have both horses in control. In tarot, we have the white horse and the black horse, which mean two parts of your soul. So the kind of more angelic, more noble, more altruistic part of yourself, which is the white horse, and of course the kind of lower manifestations of your personality, which is the black horse. Yeah, it's the proverbial angel and devil on your two shoulders. And the chariot, at the same time, when we imagine it, why it is Cancer, because the chariot itself, it symbolizes the shell. Same as Cancer, he drags his house whenever he is going with him. Not Cancer, like crab, yeah, crab with a crayfish. They're covered in shells, so that's why it's the home and the house, which plays important role in our understanding of Cancer as a sign. And the shell as such, it is not only the house of the fish, but it is also kind of like, you know, he is like a charioteer who is constantly covered by his chariot. And so to speak, the chariot card, it is all about protection. It's about having a roof over your head, but not only the roof of your house or of your car. It's also about having kind of a spiritual roof, like, you know, the feeling of being protected, the feeling of being covered with the cloak, and having, like, you know, again, yeah, the divine protection and the connection connection with the spirit and with other, with basically whatever you believe protects you. You know, it can be yourself, it can be your faith in God, it can be your ancestry, it can be your family, your parents. It's really like, you know, you give yourself the answer to this question yourself. There is no universal answer of what the word protection means for you. And when we think of it, it is about, like, you know, so much control, because you need to control those two horses, you need to follow the road you have chosen, you need to really be alert. Although you're protected, you know, it's a vehicle and you're on the road. You need to control where you're moving, how you interact with other people who are moving on the same road, to avoid like traffic jam, to avoid like crashes, you know. It's pretty much the situation of driving a car. And then we get to the devil, the card that no one likes. Not many people like, because they're afraid of all the connotations. But I'm here to challenge your perceptions, to kind of forget everything you knew about the devil from, like, you know, movies like Omen or so. The idea of a devil, and it's not a surprise that the next arcana after devil is the Tower, you know. So the devil, it is a trap. Yes, it is a trap. You can see both people are trapped, but with the potential of ultimate liberation, you know. And you can see that here there is some sort of a figure, a very androgynous figure of an harlequin, which is kind of born from those two. And she is neither a man nor a woman. She has the snake around her, which is of course the allusion to the snake from the Garden of Eden. But at the same time, the snake, it is also, you know, it is in Buddhism, it is your Kundalini energy is regarded as a snake. So it is basically your life force awakening, you know. And there is fire, and then you see that there is a wolf, you know, which is alone on the top of the mountain howling at the full moon. Yeah, here we have our full moon in Capricorn. And the wolf, obviously, for all of us, it is kind of the animal which we associate with freedom, we associate with liberty. I think if you go on the street and ask people around what they would pick up as their totem animal, spirit animal, I don't know, 50% of people would tell you it's the wolf. Wolf is, we kind of, as humankind, we associate very strongly with wolves. And I think it's because of our kind of inherent desire, inherent wish to be free, to be liberated, you know. And so that's the challenge that Tarot gives us. Like, you know, it's not home and work. It's also a dialogue between having everything in control, prioritizing others, like, you know, always looking around and see, like, you know, how my actions are perceived, how my actions affect other members of this traffic, which is life on earth. And then at the same time, it is like more self-centered approach. It is the desire to discover who you are. It is the desire to be yourself, to create yourself from different elements, like, you know, to different elements which are yours, which are not decided by the shell in which you were born, like, you know, by the economic, social cell in which you were basically born. It is you recreate yourself in this dance of total freedom from whatever elements you want, in whatever percentage of male and female, black and white, fire and water that you want. Like, you know, it's up to you. You are the creator. And of course, God is a creator in the kind of Abrahamic religions, but when we think of it, like, you know, devil in a way is a creator as well. I mean, this is a very big topic, like, you know, spanning various religions, if devil has the ability to create or not. But we are not here to discuss theology. But the thing is that the devil card, as it is in tarot, it gives you the perspective of creating yourself, because it's just about blending, like here, like it's this dark shadow, kind of pretty much very terrifying, you know, of the devil himself. On the same time, it is balanced by this white Capricorn, you know, that's what it is. There is a Capricorn with the eye of Horus, with the Egyptian protective symbol on his front, and then there is the wolf, as I said already. So yes, Capricorns are, of course, like about effort, about about working hard, about ambitions, about not being satisfied with status quo and striving for more. But on the other hand, I think that Capricorns want to excel in everything. So, like, you know, it's not only about climbing social mountains and work-related mountains, it's also about having fun to the deepest, you know. And if you dig something because you have a fishtail, if you dig into the mystery, if you dig into, like, you know, the occult and the hidden and the spiritual, it's also like, you know, you dig right to the core, and then you kind of, like, you know, with the totality of the knowledge you become part of, you partake in, you then kind of create a new you. And I mean, both are very important, but that's kind of the how I see the axis of Cancer and Capricorn. Both are very important, because I would definitely, and I don't think any Capricorn would say that, oh, we are here just to be like free and so. No, it's all, of course, about also social responsibilities, your responsibilities to your families and stuff. But I think that surprisingly in tarot, that's more the Cancer part, which is responsible for this, for this kind of respect and mutual agreement thing, which is also very important. But while cultivating this respect towards the others and respecting the freedom of other people, you are still striving for your own liberation, for your own self recreation and restructuring of yourself, reinventing of yourself. And I'll start shuffling. So especially, like, you know, these days, I feel like now, like, you know, in Ireland, things started opening finally. It's amazing, you know, it's like a totally new life. That's why, you know what, I read all the commentaries you left under the previous videos. They were very good. I'll reply to them tomorrow or tonight. And I read all of them, but I didn't even have time to reply because I'm barely home myself. Now that things are open, like, you know, we are trying to catch up with friends. We haven't seen each other like for ages. And that's very nice. And I was talking to people, like lots of people whom I know, and essentially I can see, like, you know, how over this very challenging year, many people reconsidered so many things and picked up like new hobbies and new things. And because, you know, we kind of got as a collective to this very bottom of the well, and many things that people were deeming, like, you know, impossible or, like, you know, challenging, like, oh, not today, it will take time, like, you know, and so on. People just started doing it because they're like, oh God, it couldn't get any worse, so why not now, like, you know, why not now? And so many people I know started lots of kind of new things they didn't even consider starting. Like, even myself, I started learning Italian on Duolingo because, like, if you know, like, my professional big background is in linguistics and in, like, medieval history, but more so in basically in the language part of it, in linguistics. And I wanted to learn, like, more Romance languages, and I always was like, okay, I need a teacher for this. I need, like, you know, free time to do, like, homework and to buy books and to read grammar, and that's why I never did it. And very recently I was just like, I can do it myself because I pick up languages easily enough. And so, yeah, I started doing the Duolingo thing. It's fun, to be honest. I'm not advertising Duolingo. They don't sponsor me. I'm just sharing my experience as just my own experience, yeah, of the new thing I started because, like, yeah, after postponing for so long. And I think that's also kind of very Capricorn vibe. It's just like, okay, go for it, like, you know, it's just probably not as perfect, but, like, you know, that's another mountain to climb, and it is a nice thing to do. So let's begin with the reading. Yeah, as always, three cards for each sign. I'll start with Capricorn. So who is the Capricorn, the hero of the full moon in Capricorn? Let's see. No, I took 4 maybe. Okay, Capricorn, so you got 3 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups, and a couple, King of Wands and Queen of Swords. They kind of came together, so I decided to honor it. Yeah, that's pretty much what we were talking about in the introduction. Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles. It's Pentacles is the Earth suit. Yeah. So, and Three of Pentacles. It means creativity. It means birth. Yeah. That's why the woman here, she has the nest with the three eggs. You know. So it is new life hatching. Basically, that's what it is. And Three of Pentacles, it is about working with the others. It is about using your potential in a new way, also for the benefit of the collective. This is, how to say this is very much, again, this axis of Capricorn and Cancer, because you use your creativity, which is kind of a liberating and more like self-centered thing to do, because you express yourself. Yeah, you get satisfaction from sharing what you know with the society, with the world, you know. On the other hand, you work with the others. That's kind of the dialogue ultimately of the first and the seventh house, which is for Capricorns. Yeah, Capricorn is your first house, Cancer is your seventh house. So expressing yourself through the work with the others and embracing your creativity and trying to apply it in innovative ways, in innovative ways, in original ways. And you know what? You also got Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups is just the card of total bliss. Yeah, again, Cups, it's the suit of emotions, feelings, all those watery things. And 10 is obviously the highest grade of it. Yeah, so the kind of the symbol of the 10 of Cups, it's always a very happy family. So it means love. Yeah, it means, but like love, I never want to kind of limit my cards to just like, you know, it's you and Mr. or Mrs. Right, you know. No, it is, you can be like 10 of Cups on your own, you know. Like, and that's, I think, works fine with me. Like, it's just the harmony of your emotional state. And I think, Capricorn, which you need to know is that the moon in your first house, yeah, the full moon in your first house at 3 degrees Capricorn, is sextiling Jupiter in Pisces, if I'm not mistaken. And so sextile is kind of a very soft transit and very beneficial transit. And Jupiter is a bringer of good luck. So I feel like for Capricorns, it would be a very sweet moon, very celebratory moon. Like, you know, it would be kind of a moon that would bring you the feeling of success and the feeling of peace, whatever it means to you. It doesn't need to be the happy family like it is here. It is this just feeling of the harmony, you know. That's how we perceive harmony. It is the feeling of your emotional life awakening, of your kind of rejuvenation of your feelings, of your emotional state. That's why the fish is kind of getting out of the cup. Yeah, so so there's a full moon here as well. And the king and the queen, to be honest, yes, it can be very beneficial moon for love, because that's how cards came. Yes, there's 3 of Pentacles, which sometimes even means like, because it means the union of two people, and the third being the baby, you know. So it implies, it kind of can imply marriage. 10 of Cups implies marriage. And then there is the divine couple. Yes, if you're in a couple, you can be, you can kind of hit very nice and very romantic and very sweet stage in your relationship. But if not, I think that all the cards kind of speak of just a very overarching harmony. That's how I would take them, because it is creativity with the others, and it is this emotional harmony and bliss in the 10 of Cups. And then there is the marriage of the king and the queen, and the king is the king of fire and the queen is the queen of air. And so he is the king of creativity, and he is the king of impulse. He is the king of being driven, being passionate, wanting to achieve things, wanting to live. And she herself, she's just the breath of fresh air. She's the queen of truth. She's the queen of clarity, of seeing very well where you want to go and where you want to apply this energy that you have and all this passion. All in all, very harmonious cards. So it's kind of all speaking. If you hadn't watched the introduction, probably you should do, Capricorn, because like we're talking about like a little bit about what Capricorn would mean in tarot. And yeah, I have this t-shirt today. It says "Be Beautiful," but it kind of be you. It's with the orthographic mistake, which has which has idea in it. Yeah, so be you, Capricorn. So basically that's what it is. It is like this moon, I think, would bring you closer home. That's how it feels, and kind of balance you in a very nice way, probably also because of this sextile. Why everything is falling as well. The card that has fallen is the Magician, by the way. That's very nice. That's very nice. So because I'm Capricorn, I would just say that Capricorn, you can take this card as well to the reading. Magician is a very good card, but like it's nothing new, to be honest. Magician is pretty much, its energy is very same. It's like 10 of Cups and 3 of Pentacles together. It's this creativity and the thought that you can do whatever you want. Next one is Aquarius. Aquarius, you are celebrating the moon in the 12th house, yeah? Yeah. So Capricorn is your 12th house. So that's where the moon is happening for you. And let's see what the cards have to tell you about what to expect from this moon. You got 7 of Pentacles, you got King of Pentacles, and you got 2 of Cups. Those are very harmonious cards so far. So 12th house is the house of releases, you know, yeah? And the ruler of Capricorn, your ruler Saturn, is now in your house, and Saturn is retrograde as far as I'm remembering. So it is really, I think, a good moment and good moon, especially, like, you know, full moon is the time for release. So that's really a good, like, you know, time to do some housekeeping. And I think that's why you got 2 Pentacles, yeah? Pentacles, you see, Pentacles, they are not about, like, you know, higher realms and flying away. They're about here and now. They're about, like, tasks at hand, things that need to be taken care of to supply your kind of physical existence with the comfort, and to kind of like make it bearable at the moment. It's Pentacles, they're not long term. They're not kind of like, no, they are long term, because of course they're about collecting harvest. But like, you know, when you plant the seed, it is here and now. You can't see the harvest straight away, like, you know, as you sometimes see when it is air or fire, when you just see the result in your head straight away, like, you know. It is about step by step, yeah, because it is about growing a seed for the harvest. So you take it slowly, because everything is retrograding at the moment. But it is a good time to release. And 7 of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles is very much about seeing the result of this harvest and looking back and remembering how you got there, like, you know. And it is also a very liberating card if you look of it. 7 of Pentacles, it is like, you know, it is like the full harvest is obviously collected, like, you know, at a later stage. 9 of Pentacles, it is this bliss when the garden is in full bloom. But 7 of Pentacles, you can already see the results. And you see the mirror reflection, but in fact this moon is the old moon, is the waning moon on this card. And so you see, even the picture implies some sort of like release. Look again at those like horses. They're like some spirits, you know, which are released. And like as if you release a horse and it just runs and runs and runs. If you need to spend some energy, if you feel like, you know, you are cluttered, declutter yourself. Allow yourself kind of like just let yourself loose and let yourself running, like, you know, so to speak. Because your idea is to cleanse yourself during this moon in order to free the space in your barn to put this harvest, which you would soon be collecting, like, you know. And the same is King of Pentacles, like, you know, King of Pentacles, he is not emotional, he is not dramatic at all, he's very mundane, he's the king of the forest, and he knows that things take time. He's the spirit of the forest and of the mountain, you know. He pays attention to the detail because he needs to make sure every insect is doing well, every branch on every tree is doing well, every grass, every sprout are doing well, like, you know, and he goes and he looks upon it and he mends it. It is, the work of earth is very slow. And this is what you're invited to do, like, you know, don't be too much in your head, in the airy things, in the, like, you know, in the, all those kind of, not too much there. Ground yourself, like to feel the ground under your feet. You're getting 2 pentacles, and then, like, you know, you're getting 2 of cups. 2 of cups is the card of love. It's the card of like harmony between sexes, you know, between of the same sex as well. No, I'm not talking about this. I mean, harmony of partnership, yeah, of romantic partnership, that's what I meant. But again, like, you know, 2 of Cups, it's also about union. It is about harmony. It is about good relationships and understanding and kind of harmonizing aspects within you. But before you reach this stage, and again, look, 2, it's only the first degrees of cups. You would start the cup journey again from the very start. But look, before, you got 2 pentacles. So that's the way it's gonna happen. You ground yourself first, and this moon is an earth sign. That's what you need. And just, like, I don't know, remember that it is step by step, and that don't anticipate quick results. They will come, but they will take time. Next is Pisces. Pisces, Capricorn for you is your 11th house of your networks and of your social connections, which is very nice, because it feels so far that this moon has very sweet kind of harmonizing and lucky aspect to it, with the beneficial kind of influence of Jupiter for this moon. Let's see what you got. So you got 4 of Cups, and then you got 2 very dramatic cards actually. You got the Death, Pluto or Scorpio, and the 3 of Swords. So basically something will need to be cut. That's the message we're getting, yeah? 4 of Cups is the card of very careful consideration. I don't think it would apply for all Pisces, but, like, you know, kind of, I think that the vibe of Capricorn is sort of no bullshit. And if it is about your networks and people in your life, maybe someone would need to be released, and full moon is about the release. 4 of Cups is the card of careful consideration. Careful consideration, sometimes triggered by the feeling of disappointment, by the feeling that things cannot continue going the way they go. So it's not like the happy meditation. It is the kind of, I want to say sad meditation, but it is the meditation where, like, you know, imagine you're kind of tired and sick of everything. You go alone to the beach, you know, and you just walk there and think, you know, to the park, and you're like, okay. So it is looking inside you and asking yourself what, like, you know, what needs to be released, because it's 11th house. It might be a person, but I need to drink, sorry. But at the same time, you know what I'm talking about if this applies to you. Maybe this is some part of yourself, maybe this is some activity, maybe this is something related to the networks, to, like, you know, the way your social life is functioning. You would know yourself, but this something would require very deep, like, you know, gaze inside and consideration of, like, you know, what is it that not working, what brought you disappointment and what not, and why did you end there where you did end. And then there is Death and the 3 of Swords, and yes, death is about cutting something out. Death is about ending, completing, discarding, you know. The message of the death card is very straightforward, yeah, because death is death. It's like 1 minute and it's gone. And the death has this kind of certain persistency, like, you know, in world folklore there are always so many fairy tales about, like, you know, that you cannot escape your death, like, not your death, yeah, your death, of course, in folklore, yeah, you know, like there is this, I think it's Persian legend, but there are variations of these Persians everywhere, like, you know, that kind of a man learned that like, you know, he would die tonight, like, you know, and so he started running away from this city, and, like, you know, he just basically, I don't know, he jumped into his on his horse, and he was riding, like, you know, and he ended up like in the opposite part of the country, and then he saw like a stranger on the street, and they asked me, oh, where can I find like this and this, and he said, it's me, and she said, oh, like, kind of, I'm your death. And I was surprised when I was told that I would find you in this city because that's so far away, like, you know, from where you were born, and I was told to come to this place, like, you know, and that was the place of his escape. So we are getting this idea kind of in the treasure trove of wisdom, folk wisdom, that when something needs to be ended, this cannot be escaped. And you know this very well, especially when you go to this state of very deep dialogue with yourself, of, like, you know, contemplating with yourself. You know what needs to be released, and then the thing is that you do it. You cannot be clinging to it if you know that that needs to go, and your gut feelings know what needs to go. Yes, this might be related to some sort of like heartbreak, that would be a tough decision to make, but ultimately, you know, this card implies the start of the healing, and you need to go through this painful process for things to start to heal, like, you know, like if you broke your leg and the bone is growing in the wrong direction, yes, you need to break it again, which is painful, but then it would start growing in the good direction. So it is the beginning of healing, this card, you know, because it is the heartbreak gives you healing. Once there is no heartbreak, there is no healing. You're just stuck in the situation which is not working for you. That card is a very good card. Death, like, you know, it is a very liberating card. That's what we were talking about at the start, that, like, you know, Capricorn is a great liberator in a way as well, and that's also very important. Okay, next one is Aries. Aries, for you, Capricorn is your 10th house. That's your proper house of career, of achievements for the career, you know, of your ambitions and all those career related things for the Aries. For the Aries. Now, Aries, you got a ton of wands, which is nice because it's fire. Fire, yeah. Queen of Wands, 8 of Wands, lots of action. And then 4 of Pentacles. Something new might be starting for you. I suppose it is a good time somehow to be active. I will tell this for you now because the moon, the full moon Capricorn, is sextiling Jupiter. And, you know, sextile is a very good transit, and Jupiter is a benefactor and lord of gods, you know, and kind of the father figure in the sky. And Capricorn, you know, it is kind of like, it is all about effort, and it's very success driven. So especially in your career, I think if you have a plan, if you want to change something, I would say it is your time to seize the moment, because you got the Queen of Wands and you got the 8 of Wands together, and the Queen of Wands, she's this sassy lady, like, you know, she's very brave, she's absolutely free, she doesn't care what people think of her, she doesn't care what people, like, you know, are here to tell her. She knows very well who she is. She's the Queen of Fire. She's, like, you know, very self-confident. She's like she of course means Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, yeah. So it is you, kind of, you came into your own reading, and you see the animals she has around. It's like the lion and the panther. So all those animals are aggressive. They are like, you know, very passionate. They're all about energy, about speed. And so that's who she is. Like, you know, she is here to take what is hers. She is very, very, like, you know, kind of not full of herself, but full of herself in a good way, like, you know, confident and kind of like, I go for it because I want, like, you know, this kind of philosophy. And Eight of Wands is just a card of a very quick action. Yeah, usually on this card there would be like just 8 wands flying in the air, and they just imply the incredible speed with which you need to shoot your arrows for them to reach the destination, you know. So if you are planning to kind of like some, I don't know, career change, or you're considering something like expanding, I think this full moon can be very beautiful for work, very beautiful, like, you know, very beneficial for, like, you know, doing something, I don't know, risky or adventurous, or like starting exploring your new opportunities, having a proper mindset, like, you know, with kind of the feeling that this would be successful. And the last card is Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles, yes, it's Sun in Capricorn. It's very often the card of like scarcity and greediness, but in this deck it's not. In this deck it is like a kind of like it is like a door, you know, it is like a portal. And the white bird, the white bird, the swan, yeah, in alchemy it is kind of like an alchemical symbol, you know. It is the symbol of this stage of kind of the white stage of the great making of the philosophical stone, you know. And the sun is shining. Yes, this card is careful, probably, as all pentacles are careful. So you give it a thought. You kind of, you don't risk unnecessary, but still, like, you know, after giving it a go, you act fast, and you don't hesitate. You took all your risk into account, but you don't hesitate, and ultimately you see kind of a new door opening for you, because the bird is a new stage and the sun is rising, like, you know. You just need to make a step. You just need to go through the threshold. You know, it is kind of very much about the, I think that for you, Aries, it is very much about kind of stepping into something new, kind of crossing the threshold, if you wish. That's, I think, what it is. Next one is Taurus. Taurus, for you, the full moon Capricorn, that's your 9th house, yeah? 9th house, it is the house of Sagittarius, so it's all related to learning, studying, your philosophical belief system, the quest for higher knowledge, and so on. You got all the cards surprisingly speak about some balance for you. So think of balance as the key word. Think how it resonates with you. What do you think would need balancing in your life? Because you got the Hanged Man, you got the Two of Cups, and the Justice. Justice is Libra. So the Hanged Man himself, he is about sacrificing something in order to achieve something else. Like, even the whole figure of the Hanged Man, it is about balance as such, like, you know, because he's balancing between the earth and the sky, you know, and that's what this card is about. So again, I suppose that you might want, because the house itself, the 9th house, it's a very kind of deep house. It's a house with a very deep meaning. So you might want to kind of, I don't know, even retire somewhere, go for a resort or something, in order to kind of get in this semi-transparent state of mind in which it would become clear for you what needs rebalancing in your life, like, you know, what needs restructuring, you know, kind of replacing things, kind of rearranging things in a new way. The Hanged Man is, although can be sometimes very uncomfortable card, because it's the card of the unknown, you know, because you're just hanging there, you don't touch the sky, you don't touch the earth. It's very much related to also the notion of taboo, like, you know, because not touching the earth, not touching the sky, it was one of the taboos, for example, of like sacred kingship in Asia, like, you know, like Chinese, Japanese emperors, they were not supposed to touch the land, like, you know, so it is related to the taboo. So maybe something that, some sort of along the lines of prohibitions of what you prohibit yourself to do, or things that you deemed were taboo for yourself. Maybe it's time to go and discover those areas and try to balance them. Two of Cups speak of basically of love, romantic partnership, but justice itself is Libra. Justice is our 7th house, so maybe 7th house matters, the matters with your partner, with your, like, you know, spouse. Maybe that's something that would need rebalancing, that would need certain, like, you know, reconsideration of how you do things, and, like, you know, trying to find a new way of doing things. On the other hand, if you're single, Two of Cups, it is basically speaking about harmony. Yeah, so it is the harmony of the spiritual which you're invited to reach. And because it is in the house of learning, you know, again, and in the house of taboo, and because the full moon is all about releasing, maybe you would need to release some of, like, you know, your beliefs, something that you deemed was a part of you, and just allow yourself to think differently. And this would bring you in a state of the deeper balance with yourself. Basically all your cards, because, like, speaking of balance, Hanged Man is about balance, Libra is about balance, Two of Cups is of course about balance, because those are two elements which are equal, so to speak. Yeah, they are in the state of perfection, in the state of perfect correspondence, perfect understanding, like, you know, no hierarchies involved. The 9th house is all about hierarchy, so maybe you should reconsider your priorities, the way there are hierarchies in your mind of what's important for you, what's not important. Maybe you need to start prioritizing yourself first. In any way, some balance is asking to be established in your life. I cannot tell you, to be honest, in which area, but this might be related to pretty much any area of your relationship, either with other people or even with the outer world, because the Justice card is also very much about the balance of things in nature. So the cycles of nature, the seasons of nature, like, you know, how you participate in the cycle of death and rebirth, which we're constantly witnessing in the natural world, how you fit into this, like, you know, what is your role for it. So something along those lines. It's a surprising message to get, but that's the message you got. So this is very much it. This card is also very Venusian, yeah, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and this card is very much about pleasures. So the way I think you would kind of think yourself and rebalance things, you would know what's the correct way of doing so. You would know what's the correct way of where you need to change things, because that would be the direction which would bring you lots of pleasure ultimately, which would make you happiness and comfort and all Venusian things, like basically physical comfort and comfort of heart. So this is the direction to go. In many ways, this moon, as I was talking at the beginning, is very harmonizing and very liberating. This is how I see it. It's also called the strawberry moon, but I think it is not because of the color, obviously. It's because of the strawberry harvest time. And but strawberry moon sounds kind of cool, isn't it? And yeah. Next one is Gemini. Yeah, Gemini, for you, the moon is happening in Capricorn in your 8th house. In your 8th house, and 8th house, it is the Scorpionic house. Yeah, so it is the house of the dark secrets revealed, of the mystery, of digging deep, of looking deep, of all those things. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, you got very deep cards. It all makes perfect sense. You got the moon. You get 7 of Swords. and you got the Hanged One. To be honest, all of those speak of kind of like discovering the unknown. The full moon, yeah, it's the night. It is kind of the brightest night of the months, yeah. And by the way, the full moon in Capricorn on June 24 is the super moon, yeah. So it is closer to Earth, it is brighter, it is more visible, it, like, you know, it has brighter light. And metaphorically speaking, because it is in the 8th house of dark, of like hidden agendas, of hidden things, this might shed light on something that you didn't know. And frankly speaking, it is about kind of discovering something, discovering some deeper truth, because the moon, yes, the moon in tarot is a kind of challenging card. It is about uncertainties. It is the card of illusions. It is the card of not seeing clearly, of becoming prey to shades and shadows and demons and monsters under your bed. But on the other hand, it is also the card of awakening, of trusting your gut feeling, of trusting your intuition, of when your eyes do not see clearly, you just, like, you know, you start using other other tools, like, you know, which you're given, like the sixth sense, praying, meditating, you know, you basically are using your third eye when you can't see clearly with those two. And then you got the Seven of Swords, and Seven of Swords is very often the card of theft and betrayal, and but also of kind of things that happen behind your back and take you kind of like unprepared, and can shock you, and kind of like it is like a knife in the back from where you didn't expect. But in this deck, it is kind of like again about the invitation to start the journey in the mystical forest, because the character of this card, the white stag, it is the character from the Celtic mythology. It's like the French La Biche Blanche. So it is this white stag which appears to the hunter, and it's usually the messenger from the other world, which brings you to a different realm, like, you know. And the Hanged Man, it's pretty much same, yeah. So it is the sacrifice of yourself for the highest good. It is very mystical card, but so they all speak of very deep and mystical experiences. So maybe, I don't know, if you're lucky, maybe you would get some nice revelation, maybe you will get an absolutely unexpected piece of information to feed, maybe some information which was hidden becomes revealed, and it's like the missing part of the puzzle. But another thing is that both of those cards are about doing things in the non-conventional way, about changing your ways. Because Seven of Swords is also the card of originality. You know, usually depicts a man who is stealing 7 swords from the military camp. So when he's doing it in darkness, and that's why it's the card of the betrayal. On the other hand, it is this originality, and is this imaginative creativity which allows you to think out of the box. So when all the doors are closed, how do I get there? How do I get what I want? And for this card, like, you know, you can see that there are like broken swords on the bottom of the pool. Those are gone. Those options didn't work. They didn't bring you anywhere. So just discard them. They're buried in the pool, and they're forgotten. And then the white stag appears and offers you the non-conventional way out of the forest, you know, that you start thinking differently, you do things in a different way. And the Hanged Man is speaking of the same, because his head is down, which is a non-conventional way for human being to kind of spend your free time and position your body in the 3D dimension. So it is about changing your perspective 180 degrees. So maybe this is kind of the whole message of it. So if you find yourself in the position of not knowing much, in the position when you think that the shadows are too dense and you don't see your way where to go, you might get a revelation of how to start interpreting it in a different way, in the way you never thought of this problem, and in the way, like, you know, how you can better achieve what you want through the ways which are surprising for you, through the non-standard ways, you know. And yeah, and this is the whole message of it. It is this originality, and originality which sparks from not relying on your rational mind, but more relying on other media within yourself in order to advance. All in all, those cards are all very deep. They all speak of mystical experiences. They're all very much 8th house. So maybe Gemini, you would get something totally revelatory, which would have some impact on your life and on your actions. And I truly wish it to be so for you. Okay, we are at the equator, so next one is Cancer. Cancer, for you, the moon is of course happening in your 7th house. Go watch the introduction if you haven't done so. We're like talking a little bit about Cancer and more so about Capricorn in your 7th house and the axis of Capricorn and Cancer as seen, like, you know, conventionally and not that conventionally through the light of tarot. So maybe go check it if this is something you would like to try. Cancer, yeah, so for you it's your 7th house. 7th house, it is the house of the others, yeah, the kind of ultimate house of partnerships and of relationships. You got the Knight of Swords, very quick action. Queen of Pentacles is Capricorn, by the way, and you got Judgment. That's kind of cool. So something big might happen to you, like, you know. You got 2 court cards, which can mean people, yeah. So the Knight of Swords can be Aquarius, Libra, or Gemini, yeah. So, and Queen of Pentacles, she's Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. So there might be total reset and reload in your relationship with the people, because the Judgment Day is the day of resurrection, you know. It is when the bodies are called out from the graves, you know, for the pipes are calling, you know. Danny boy, the pipes are calling. So it is about the changing of shape. It is about shape shifting, yeah. It is about the resurrection of the dead. It is the day when kind of technically speaking, as we know from the book of Apocalypse, that when like sinners are punished, yeah, and the righteous are given the eternal life. So judgment is also of course very much related to the idea of justice, you know, that everyone ultimately gets what they deserve. And maybe this is the gentle recommendation to do a Judgment Day with your partnerships, you know. Just see how people treat you, reconsider the things, see how it works for you, like, you know, and whatnot. And maybe this is also a time to kind of boost certain relationships and transfer them to the new stages, and at the same time decrease the stages of other relationships. In any way, it seems like, you know, there are people and there is judgment and decision required to be taken in relationship to these people. Cancers can be very soft and very delicate and very diplomats, which is also very nice. That's your kind of course, it's a strength, it's very nice. But at the same time, Capricorn is here for you, and Capricorn is very egotic, in my opinion. Capricorn, as the devil, it is all about ego. It's not about altruism, it's not about the others, it's about prioritizing yourself, your integrity of yourself, your freedom. I would again show my t-shirt which says beautiful, but it starts as be you. So it is about being yourself and prioritizing your own wholeness and integrity and what you want to be. And of course there are all those people around you, but there might be some decision which requires taking in regard to those people. If we take Knight of Swords and Queen of Pentacles abstractly, Knight of Swords is very quick and very clear. He's crisp clear, like, you know, he's the quickest of the knights, and he can mean either very quick action or very quick and unexpected piece of information coming your way. So probably this is it. And the Queen of Pentacles, she's kind of the opposite, yeah? She's the queen of the mundane world. She's the queen of fertility. She's very stable. She is very down to earth. She is the queen of animals. She's very rational. She's taking it slowly. So there is very quick guy and there is very slow woman. And I think that the message that I'm getting from those two cards is that you think slowly, but once the decision is made, you make a quick action. Because judgment requires the decision to be made, and the decision to be not only made but also actioned. And the Queen of Pentacles is about taking your time for consideration, but then you do things quickly. Once you get to the point, you do things quickly. That's, I think, what it talks about. Okay, so next one is Leo. Leo, for you, the Capricorn is your 6th house. 6th house is the house of routine and health. So let us check what are the gifts you might be getting there for this full moon in Capricorn. You got also Judgment, same as Cancer did. You got 9 of Wands. Leo, you're very tired. And the Judgment and the 5 of Swords. Yes, the house of health and routine, and you're tired of both your health and both your routine. I suppose it's been difficult, like, you know, it's been difficult on you probably recently, and you're wary and you're basically in need of the balance. And this moon is here to bring you this balance, because it is your house, like, you know, it's a Virgo house, and Virgos are very down to earth, and you can't be thinking of, like, you know, the, how to say, the kind of category, the higher categories, the, like, you know, the spiritual categories, unless your fundamental needs, your fundamental basis is solid. So this moon is here to highlight, like, you know, to highlight what needs to be released and what needs to be done in your 6th house matters, which would be like a solid ground for you to start building upon. And the master of this card is basically rest. It is beneficial for your health, it's beneficial for your routine. Stop just, like, you know, I don't know, eating yourself, blaming yourself, being like a hamster in this wheel running, like, you know, your routine and stuff. Like, you know, prioritize your needs. Like, you know, this card is very quiet. It is a card of the wounded warrior, so to speak, yeah. This man, he's so wary. He's, like, you know, he's wary of his way. He has lost many battles, he has won many battles, but now it's time for him just to slow down and to rebalance, you know. This card, of course, it's about the universal balancing of things, because it is the bright day and the starry night within. There are, like, you know, 2 wolves which mirror the 2 horses from the chariot card. So, like, you know, the light part of yourself and the darker kind of more kind of demonic part of yourself. There is the sky, where there is the sun and the moon, and this man, he's kind of like, he's like on the cross of all those polarities, you know, because it's not time for him to take any action. It's just basically time for him to rest, to allow himself to acknowledge his wounds and to give himself time to heal those wounds. Five of Swords is also here for you. Five of Swords, it is like, you see there are like five swords piercing the heart. Yes, you might feel heartbroken, you might basically feel tired. It's the card of being tired from other people. It's the card of strife, of verbal strife, of miscommunication, misunderstandings, unsuccessful reproaches with the others. Swords, of course, it's like the suit of air, suit of communication, so probably like verbal wounds more than anything else. But again, it is a challenging card. It means that there was a challenge related to those areas. And the Judgment card, it is a card that, first of all, the Judgment requires that the decision be taken, but then it also requires, it implies the rebirth, because that's what it is, that the Judgment Day, and Judgment Day is the rebirth. So allow yourself this time to be reborn. Basically, if we look at the Judgment Day, there would be this call, but before you're called to be reborn, you're kind of lying in the grave. Yeah, that's what it is about. And metaphorically speaking, death and grave as symbols, you know, it is about the deep rest. It is about the kind of withdrawal of senses, withdrawal from the outer world, allowing yourself to take better care of your health, make certain decisions regarding what can be changed, but don't put too much pressure on you. I feel like you will know yourself when the time for the decision would come. So it is ultimately about the ascension, you know, because it is souls called upon, like, you know, to ascend to heavens. And here there is this shaman, you know, and he's traveling with his spirit animals, like the bear and the, what you call it, like the hawk or whatever, on the rainbow. He's traveling to the upper realm. But, you know, before the ascension can be made, before this judgment can be made, you need to cure from your weariness. And this is kind of what the moon is highlighting for you in your 6th house. That you got 2 cards which speak of the wound. And you need to give yourself time to heal. I don't think it's going to be a quick moon for you. But I think that your action now is basically no action. That's what I think. I hope you're getting. I hope I'm not speaking in a cryptic. Too cryptic. I hope you're getting what I mean. Yeah, Leo, give yourself time. 6th house, it's also slow house. And yeah, 6th house, you know that the lower manifestation of the 6th house is victimhood. Oh, please, you know what? There are 2 traps in this. First, you're playing a victim, and second, you're playing a judge. And both are not good. So, and we are all prone to this, like, you know, that, and it can be both at the same time. That, like, you know, one part of you feels like a victim, second part feels like a judge who's condemning this victim. So don't go there. Don't go there. Just banish those thoughts. Don't think like this, like, you know. Yes, you got 2 quite painful cards, but this is just a period. It would pass. Allow yourself to embrace it. Don't push yourself. Don't, like, you know, blame yourself, condemn yourself. Just allow this to pass and to rebalance. Remember of this wounded warrior, you know, he was tired, but he was very composed. And he had, you know, he had the sun, the moon with him, and the two wolves, you know. So he had, like, you know, something that supports him. That's what your reading is about. Okay, next one is Virgo. Virgo Capricorn is your 5th house. Yeah, as you know, I'm Virgo rising. What a joy to have 5th house in Capricorn. Yeah, so basically 5th house is this house of fun, yeah, of romance, of self-expression, of creativity. But Virgo's got it with the Capricorn, so it is like, you know, so it is like, how to say, the pressure to express yourself and have fun is real, something like this, you know. Very interesting cards. You got Knight of Cups, you got Queen of Cups, And you also got Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles is the ultimate card of lack. So you might feel, but I don't know, somehow in relation to that house, I don't take it negatively. I feel like that you might feel this deep dissatisfaction with, like, you know, how you express yourself, how you are channeling yourself to the world, or how your relationship are, I don't know, with your, if we speak of the romance, or in general, what is your relationship with, like, love in general and the romance in general, that you might feel a lack and a hunger in relation to those. But as we know from these kind of, like, you know, from the world folklore, the lack, it's our first step on the hero's journey, you know, kind of like when we dissect the world fairy tales, the world legends, the lack, it's one of the kind of criteria for the fairy tale to start, you know, because it never starts with, oh, I have I have everything, like, you know, the end. No, it starts that you need to find something, like, you know, you remember, like, Wizard of Oz, yeah, like they wanted to find, like, heart, and Lion wanted to find courage, you know, and I think that the straw man wanted to find brain or something, like, you know, the journey starts with the lack. The journey starts from with hunger. And so this man, he starts his journey, this man is cold and probably hungry and, like, you know, in the unknown land, but he has a helper, you know, he has an animal which is helping him. And your other two cards are actually a kind of divine couple, yeah, the Queen and the King, which is very sweet, to be honest, to get in the house of romance. So if you are with in a couple, congratulations, it might be very nice moon to, like, you know, to have some, I don't know, romantic dinner, or like moon gazing or something. And I think it's going to be very sweet, because again, the moon is sextiled by Jupiter in Pisces, you know, Pisces is also water sign. Actually, Queen of Cups and Knight of Cups, they are Pisces, you know, they're Pisces, or they're Scorpios, or they're Cancers, you know. So it is this very deep connection and very deep aspects of, like, feelings towards each other. They're sincere, they're pure, they're kind of like bathed in warm water, so to speak. They're really very nice. And again, if you're not in the relationship, that is just speaking about your relationship in general, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with the world, how you feel. In general, there is so much water. There is so much water, kind of the Lady of the Water and the Knight of the Water, they came together, like, you know. And the Knight of Cups, he is this Knight of the Holy Grail. He is this Knight which is all about the purity of heart, purity of soul. The Knight of Cups, his action in tarot is similar to the symbolism of baptism, you know. There is, like, the baptism of the holy water. There is also the baptism of tears, you know. That's kind of one of the myths that, like, so it speaks of the purification, that, like, you know, you clear your soul from all the residue and everything that made you unhappy, and it's kind of like all reborn. So yes, you start with the lack, but then you proceed with discovering something new within you, that gives you a totally new perspective on things, like, you know, and makes you so well balanced and so sincere with yourself, and so kind of pure. Purity is your word, yeah, because there is lots of water. There's basically lots of water came into your reading, and water is here to cleanse, which is very nice, to bring transparency to things, to cleanse, like, you know, to hydrate you, you know, to hydrate you, basically, if you understand what I mean. Spiritually, yeah. Kind of, he starts thirsty and hungry, and then he gets to the pool with those waters, which quenches his thirst, so to speak. And we are moving closer to the end of the reading. Next one is Libra. Libra, for you, the full moon Capricorn, that's your 4th house. And let's see what you're getting. Oh, you got Ten of Swords, the World, and Knight of Cups. Ten of Swords is speaking about the completion of the cycle. Clearly it's the new moon, so you know, or the full moon, excuse me, the full moon is all about release. It's more because the moon is hitting its waning stage. So if you're experiencing difficulties, because swords is about challenging the life through all of us, very often mental challenges or challenges related to communication, our relationship with the others. So Ten of Swords speaks about the sudden completion of things. It might be stressful, like, you know, Ten of Swords is related to the Uranus as a planet, so it is very similar in minor arcana to the Tower in major arcana, and you can see that here we have the figure of a man who's kind of pierced with lightnings, you know, and yeah, and there is like blood dripping from his heart. It's, yeah, very visual picture, but nonetheless it is about the sudden realization of something. That's also very possible for the times of the full moon. The full moon and this moon is a super moon, so it shines bright, it's very close to Earth, and it might, so to speak, symbolically shed light on some of the things that you are probably deeming unclear or incomprehensible. And hence you're getting to the stage when things are suddenly opening up, like, you know, it's like as if veil is removed from something that was closed. And as such, it's continued in the topic of this card, because the World card, it's the card 21, the last card of the major arcana. It usually speaks of completions, of total achievements, and eventually very positive, very blissful achievements, because it's related to your home. Maybe some issue related to your fourth house, either with your relationship with your family or siblings, or with your house as a physical place. It can be anything. It can be relocation, to be honest. It can very well mean relocation. So if you are thinking of changing countries or changing cities, this is your green light, because the World card, it also represents the globe. So, and when we get this card in the fourth house, which is related to your physical home, among other things, it may well speak of physical relocation to a different country for the purpose of settling there, like, you know. So if that's the case for you, this might be kind of, this moon might really gonna boost things for you in that area. But technically it is completion, and, like, you know, when something ends, the world is already pregnant with new possibilities, with new opportunities. And the next card would be card number 0, the Fool. Yeah, so it's wrapping things up before you embark on a new journey. And Knight of Cups, your last card, Knight of Cups, speaks kind of more of an alignment with your spiritual self, with your emotional self. It is the card of the harmony in relationship. It is the card of the, like, you know, purification, of the cleansing of some areas of your life. But again, all those cards, they speak of clarity, and they speak of, like, you know, kind of waters coming into your life, into the area of your life. And you know what they do is that they kind of wash out what is no longer needed, and hence you release, and things are gone and things are completed, and they're no longer what they used to be. And on the other hand, they are purifying. Virgo also got the Knight of Cups, as far as I remember. And Knight of Cups, he's, like, you know, he's the most noble, the most, like, you know, high-spirited knights of all the tarot knights. So maybe something, action would be required of you along those terms. Maybe, like, you know, some noble cancellation of, I don't know, your relative or so, or, like, you know, you would act as a peacemaker, or you would, yeah, you would settle conflict, or you would, like, you know, give someone a good piece of advice, like, you know. So in any way, it is about this very evangelical, so to speak, action that we might bring into our lives and into the lives of other people as well. So the whole vibe of this card is very noble, very altruistic, so to speak, you know. But in general, with the World card, think of what you might want to release, what you might want to kind of, like, let go, you know. And I think that would be That would be the answer. That would be the answer of what is exactly this full moon wants from you, you know, what kind of work you're required to make. Yeah. Okay, last two, Scorpio now. Yeah, Scorpio, for you, Capricorn, it is your third house. Third house is the Gemini house. Yeah, so it's the house of speaking, of communication, of information, of advertising, I don't know, like some commercial activities, but also any verbal, I suppose, activities, I don't know, which I take. Writing as well. Writing and reading, to be honest, yeah, kind of as a parts of communication. Oh, okay, so you got Five of Wands, you got Queen of Swords, and you got Eight of Pentacles. I feel like for this full moon, you sorry, like I was just looking for good words, like, you know. So okay, let's just discuss this card. So Five of Wands is very often the card of the conflict, like, you know. It's, or not the conflict as such, but basically, like, you know, like Five of Swords, that's kind of more like a verbal conflict. Five of Wands, it is basically the card of the turmoil, you know. It's the card that the world is on fire, there is the erupting volcano, and there are all those wands flying around you, and like the stars are falling from the sky. So it can mean very sudden change. It can mean kind of like something that pushes you out of your comfort zone, and it's like a whole cold shower, you know, when you're half asleep. So something which brings you back to senses, something which challenges you. It is a challenge which asks you to look deep inside you and find this source of stability. So basically the motto of this card is something like, I am steady, I'm grounded amidst the turmoil. Because what's happening to this woman, like, you know, she has this bunch of lilies here. Lilies in iconography, they're the symbol of purity. They are the flowers of Virgin Mary. Yeah? They're the flowers of virginity, of, like, you know, total pure heart and pure soul which is aligned with God, with your purpose, you know, soul which is in very deep connection with the spiritual. And so when things start falling apart around you, like, you know, this woman, she finds her strengths within her. She kind of like, she knows that she's strong enough to find the remedy within herself. So it is, again, like, you know, we were talking a little bit in the introduction about kind of how I feel this moon as a very liberating card, because Capricorn is ultimately about like very big freedom, like, you know, freedom to take the heights that you want, freedom to choose who you want to be, freedom to choose the path for yourself, like, you know, and also freedom to save yourself, so that you know that you don't need other people to save you when things are hectic. You are your own source of salvation. And then you get the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords, she's the very, like, you know, she's the strongest queen. Yeah, that's why she has swords. Again, she's an armed queen, so she has her own weapon. So it is, again, it is all the cards, they're so independent and they're so kind of self-assuring that you are who you are, like, you know. And especially because the third house is related to Gemini, so it's related to air sign, it's related to mental activities, to the way of your thinking, of your speaking, of how you speak yourself, how you speak your truth. And Queen of Swords, she's the Queen of Truth. She's the Queen of Truth. She's the Queen of clarity, of transparency, you know. Maybe things would get, like, you know, clearer for you as to who you are, how you want to speak yourself, how you want to be seen. And Eight of Pentacles is the card of collecting the harvest. So all your hard work, the hard work you're doing with yourself, you're doing with your life, it would start slowly paying off. Because to be honest, that's kind of the notion of the Capricorn. the notion of the Capricorn is that your effort is paying off. Capricorn is very hard working, so they know if you are working hard, you're getting your reward, you know. It is very hard working and very kind of goal oriented, but it is fair. Like if you were working, you're getting what you're working for. Like your effort pays off, and it pays off well. And maybe, to be honest, what your reward is that you're enough. You're like this Queen of Swords, like, you know, you can speak your truth. There is also this, like, swords, they're related to butterflies, they're related to birds, and birds and butterflies, they're related to the kind of, to the notions of rebirth, to the migrating of soul, to the resurrection of soul in a new body. And I totally believe that we resurrect in a way, even during this lifetime, if we work, like, you know, enough with our self-development. Like when I look at myself, how I was in my 20s, I can't even relate to that person. I don't have, like, you know, over my path, I don't have a single connection with that person. I know technically it used to be me, but the choices I was making, the things I was, like, you know, striving for, let's put it this way, I no longer relate to those. So it's, you see, this topic of reinvention of yourself, it is, technically speaking, recurrent for this full moon. Yeah, very nice message, Scorpio. I hope you liked it. And last but not least is Sag. Yeah, Sag. So Sag, for you, the Capricorn is your second house. Yeah, second house, which is the house of finances, but with the very important kind of undertone that it's also the house of self-value. And I think that's always very important to remember. Now, let's see what cards you are getting. Let me see. Sag. Cool. You got the Star, Aquarius. You got Six of Pentacles. And you got Three of Cups. Actually, it's super nice. They are all very much fitting together. So look, the moon is happening in your financial house, and I was just we're talking about it in the introduction, talking about it a second ago when doing like a reading for Scorpio, that Capricorn is very fair. Capricorn is all about equality and about balance, you know. It is about like working hard but being rewarded for your work, like, you know, sacrificing a lot but ultimately reaching your goal. And the card that you get, Six of Pentacles, it is kind of the card of sharing, and very often of sharing financial assets, because Pentacles, Pentacles, it's the coin, yeah, so it's about money. Six of Pentacles is about the balance you create in your life and in your world by basically sharing. Not necessarily sharing money, but also sharing all those senses which are around, like, you know, the notions of value. And it is also the internal balance that you are getting, even you're gaining financially, according to the balance of how you price yourself, of how you value yourself, how you value what you're doing, you know. So don't undervalue yourself. It all should be in balance. It is this kind of, I give so that you give to me. I value myself high enough, and I respect other people to value me in the same way. So in this deck, there is this Indian girl, like, you know, Native American, excuse me, girl who is offering this pipe, like, you know, like the pipe of peace. So it is again, it is about gifting. It is about sharing something with someone. It is about establishing a meaningful relationship with the others through the value of yourself and the value of other people. And I think that is kind of your starting point. So maybe it is time for you to reconsider, like, you know, how you value your work. Are you happy with what you're getting for your work? Do you think it is fair? Are you getting your fair share? If you're getting more than you think is necessary, can you invest it somewhere? Can you, like, you know, reestablish the balance of things? Can you give it to people who are maybe like in more need than you are, like, you know? Or so, and it would ultimately come back to you, because that's how kind of Capricorn works. It's all very fair, like, you know, the more you give, the more you receive, sort of this kind of philosophy. And the star is Aquarius, and the star is basically all most beautiful things in life, like hope and a good relationship with yourself and with your path and with your destiny, and in trusting your destiny and trusting that you are following the right path, you are in the right time, in the right place, you are where you're supposed to be, you're protected, you're cared for, like, you know, you're loved. So that's very sweet. And then the Three of Cups, and Three of Cups, it's friendly reunion. It is like, you know, valuing friendships. But again, like, you know, we base, of course, the good friendships, they are based on this principle that of giving and receiving, of sharing, of like, you know, sometimes giving more, sometimes giving less, sometimes receiving more. And on these dynamics of human interaction, Three of Cups, it is this kind of reunion. Yeah, reunion with friends. It's bliss of friendship, bliss of relationship with other people, parties, fun. So all those things, you see, kind of, there are always three women who are joyfully drinking together. So maybe if that's in the stars for you, maybe it's just time for drinks with friends, like, you know, in the sun. But many cards today were about like equilibrating things, were about balancing things for so many signs. That was the message. And that's, I think, the kind of the essence of Capricorn as it is, that to kind of the fairness, the transparency of things. I think that's kind of the higher way how Capricorn wants us to do things. And it is liberating. It is liberating in a way, in many ways. Yeah. So that was it. Thank you so much for staying with me. And hope you like the messages. I think all the messages were super sweet this time. I was surprised to notice that there were not that many major arcana in all the readings. Pretty much all of the readings were done with only minor arcana, which is fine, because I think this moon is going to be quiet. It's not going to be like a bubuch moon, like, you know, but it is nice nonetheless. And so I wish you very happy moon, very happy solstice, and let me know, as always, what you think in the comments. I very much value your comments. Thank you for taking your time to leave me a note. I very much appreciate them. It's lovely to hear kind words, like, you know, for the work that I'm doing. And yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks' time, as always, and talk to you later. Bye.